right, good evening and welcome back to negotiations between Jeffco Public Schools and Jespa. I'm Matt Polero, Chief Student Success Officer, and to begin the evening, we'll start off with some introductions and then we'll review our agenda. So I'll go to my right.
I am Jeff Gatlin, Chief Operating Officer.
Sarah Smith, Preschool.
Nikki Saunders, Health Aide.
Sander Kashub, Jespa President.
Trevor Burton, JCTA President.
Darcy Hassler, JCAP Treasurer.
Tiffany Beestrom, Paraeducator.
Robert Elrod, Facility Manager.
Vicky Flores, Jespa Staff.
Brent Case, Outside Counsel for the district.
All right, and we have up on our screen a proposed agenda for April 24th. Are there any adjustments that we'd like to make in terms of the order in which any of these items are presented or discussed?
I want to propose, can we start off with the MEQ discussion and Article 5?
So MEQ would be first, followed by, I'm sorry, which one did you say?
Article 5.
Article 5, got it. Yeah, we can do that. And also, I'd like to propose, the district has given some more thought to the last conversation we had related to Article 5 attendance and Article 8 bereavement. And we've brought forward some additional language that we'd like to consider. We would be happy to present that first if you'd like to, or we can wait and have conversation about that later on.
If you'd like to present that, that's fine.
Sure, yeah. So specifically with Article 5, give me 1 second. We wanted to get into a little bit more about, our position related to duty-free breaks. I think that is 531. And what our position is there, and maybe share a couple of stories related to that. And then we'll get into the language. So essentially, our position is that, we have an obligation to ensure the safety and supervision of students and staff and families at all times, okay? And there are instances where we need staff to maintain a readiness to respond to work demands or be reachable immediately. So you think about, Trevor, like a bus driver who is, on a field trip, maybe taking students to an away game, and maybe halfway through the third quarter of a football game, inclement weather moves in and that event has to be canceled. We need that driver to be available to ensure that students are removed out of harm's way and to safety and, transported back home. And that break, that paid break, might coincide with the time of when that inclement weather moves in. I think another example with campus security, often we have assemblies or, award ceremonies or performances at night. And, campus supervisors where their breaks might coincide with those student activities happening. If something, an emergency situation were to arise where we needed our campus supervisor to respond, we need them to be able to be accessible and reachable and honestly maintain a presence at those types of events. So those are the types of circumstances that come to mind when we say we can't commit to duty free. Now that said, we do value breaks, and I don't want anybody to hear anything differently. What we would like to propose here is what you see in yellow to kind of get at what we think your interest is, and that paid rest breaks are presumed to be duty free. And when operational needs require immediate attention, employees may be called back from paid rest breaks and therefore must remain accessible. So that, I think, provides more clarity around like those situations, but also, makes it more clear for supervisors, managers, so on and so forth around, what those breaks should look like. The second piece around Article 8, moving to bereavement, I think we had proposed 2 paid days, and you had added the language per death. We're willing to accept that. And so we just wanted to make sure that that is known before we get into the conversations later on where you're presenting back to us, like that's acceptable to us. And so that's really all I had to share. We just wanted, we've given some more thought, wanted to make sure that you knew what our ideas were today. And we don't expect you to have any questions or need for clarity right now, but if you do, we'd be happy to have some conversation, or we can just send this over to you and we'll wait to hear back from you when we get to that piece on our agenda.
Sure. Just looking at our current contract, per death is in there. So that's existed. That's nothing we added, that existed before we started this conversation this year. Okay. Appreciate the thought put into that. Can we caucus for a few minutes here and just see kind of where we're at? We were not expecting you to start with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we are back from a brief caucus. Could you please send us that Article 8 update just with the per death language. And we believe that we are ready to TA Article 5 with what you just added. Sure.
Would you, because what we did, because we weren't sure, we didn't want to get things messy with bringing a proposal if you already had a proposal. So would you like us to take that text and put it back into the actual article that we last presented and then send it to you so it's all in one?
That would be great.
We'll do that.
Yeah, but we're ready if that sounds good to y'all to have a tentative agreement on Article 5.
That sounds good. So we'll send it to you, look it over, make sure it reflects everything that we've discussed so far. And then when we come back from the break, if we're there, we will, reach an agreement. And if not, let us know what's missing or what needs to be adjusted. So next on our agenda, I think, is the MEQ discussion. So I'm assuming there won't be any presentation of Article 5 at this point. And
yeah, we're ready.
And then did you want to do the FNS MOU as well after MEQs, or?
That's fine. We can keep that on the agenda as it is.
Yep. All right, sounds good.
As per the MEQs, we have no interest in updating the numbers. So we feel like we can also just TA that as well.
We agree.
Cool. Okay, so where we go from here, let me close this. As you all know, we have 2 open grievances over the district's bad faith actions and violation of our negotiations process. A grievance hearing was conducted last week with the deputy superintendent as the hearing officer. Ultimately, she decided that because we are sitting here at the table with you today, the district is therefore bargaining in good faith, and the remedy has been met. We find this conclusion unsatisfactory and unconvincing. We have thus retained legal counsel and are requesting arbitration in the matter. Now, I want to invite our members up to stand with us at the table. During this year's negotiations, it has become evident that Jeffco Public Schools is not engaging in good faith discussions regarding the well-being of our education support professionals, and consequently, the students that we serve. Jespa brought 2 items of concern to the table this year: student-centered staffing and job stability. We brought our interests and proposed solutions. We were asked to write contract language, and we did. The district's team continues to refuse to discuss interests, solutions, or engage over our proposals in order to reach mutual agreement. Under the direction of the Jeffco School Board, there has been a deliberate and sustained effort to refuse to negotiate over our priorities, insisting on maintaining practices that directly undermine the safety and stability of our school environments. Per the Jeffco policy on negotiations, the district's goal of negotiating is to ensure employees' input and proposals are fully considered before making related decisions and providing a forum to orderly resolve any disputes. Therefore, district negotiation representatives should conduct themselves in a way that is open, fair, and intention towards reaching agreement. We are not alone in our concerns. Our interests reflect the demands of our members and our community. It's worth noting that all 5 board members have publicly committed to supporting our agenda for the common good. Additionally, we presented a letter to the Jeffco School Board on February 15th outlining our concerns. This letter reminded the board of the commitments they made to our agenda for the common good during their campaigns. These commitments were to end outsourcing and to prioritize healthy food and the safe staffing of our schools. The role of public schools is to provide a public good and to be good stewards of public funds. While Jespa brought these issues to the table to discuss, they are not just our interests alone, but the interests of our allies in the community. The letter presented to the Board of Education by Coloradans for the Common Good included JCEA, Jeffco Food Policy Council, Denver Classroom Teachers Association, UFCW Local 7, the Colorado NAACP, Colorado Education Association, Communication Workers of America Quad 7, B'nai Havurah Jewish Congregation, Community of Grace Presbyterian Church, the 6th Avenue United Church of Christ, El Centro de los Trabajadores, Edgewater Collective, Hunger Free Colorado, Teamsters Local 455, and the Community Economic Defense Project. The continued maintenance of dangerously low staffing levels has had a direct impact on our children's health, education, and safety. We have consistently brought concerns to light of the district's intentional refusal to post open positions adequately, and have offered solutions that should have been seriously considered in order to fill positions. Instead, the district resorted to outsourcing to fill positions instead of working with us to solve the issues. This is not just a failure in negotiation, but also a failure of leadership. There is a consistent effort to outsource jobs that could be handled within our community, resulting in the diversion of millions of taxpayer dollars to private businesses. This raises questions not only about fiscal responsibility, but also respect for your staff and community. However, district leadership in transportation, Terry Slemons, along with the Jeffco COO Jeff Gatlin, have demonstrated that they agree. Outsourcing in transportation to rideshare companies like Hop Skip Drive is not ideal. It's not cost effective. And they presented to the board findings that supported bringing these services back in-house. So why is the district refusing to talk about that with us? It seems like a win-win, and an opportunity to agree on an issue we already seem to have common ground on. The district's stance on healthcare and wages is similarly concerning. Affordable health insurance, despite the unanimous recommendation of the Benefits Advisory Committee earlier this year, is being denied. Below poverty level wages are enforced, while the district holds an excessive $211 million in reserves and pays an attorney $277 an hour to sit across the table from us with explicit direction to bust my union. How can we trust leadership that prioritizes financial hoarding over the well-being of its workforce and students? Jeffco's strategic choices indicate a desire to maintain unsafe staffing levels, promote the privatization of public jobs, and deny its workers living wages. Let's be honest with ourselves and the public. Jeffco wishes to retain the managerial right to maintain unsafe staffing levels in our schools, directly inhibiting our children's right to an outstanding education. Jeffco wishes to retain the managerial right to outsource public jobs, promoting the privatization of our schools while wasting millions of dollars per year of Jeffco taxpayer money. Jeffco wishes to retain the managerial right to deny its employees affordable health insurance, forcing us to choose between putting food on our tables or buying medicine for our children or ourselves. Jeffco wishes to retain the managerial right to force feed its employees below poverty level wages while sitting on $211 million of reserves. The retained management rights you are defending ultimately translate to disrespect and a diminished quality of life for ESPs in Jeffco. On behalf of Jespa, I am declaring an impasse in this year's negotiation process. We have legal representation to challenge your refusal to negotiate and other concerning behaviors reported to the state. Declaring impasse initiates further legal processes that we find necessary given your continued refusal to engage in a meaningful negotiation. We are seeking an environment where our concerns are met with respect and serious consideration. Until we can find a path forward that leads us there, we are at an impasse.